Hello, how are all you guys? My name's Alan Weigel. I'm going to be the range instructor. All right, so I hope this video is informative and you guys can use it to do your merit badges, merit badge worksheets. That's these things right here. See this? Merit badge worksheet, archery merit badge worksheet. If you've gotten this far and you're looking at this video, then you know how to navigate links and YouTube and all that other stuff. So I'm assuming that you've printed it out and you're going to fill it out based on the information that we give you in this video. All right, so first thing that they're going to ask you are safety rules. Explain the range and explain safety rules. So first thing first, these are targets, right? And we're going to have two people shooting at each target. When we get there, it will look similar to this. This target line is also called a safety line. So safety line or target line. That is the line that you stand behind while you're waiting for your partner to remove his arrows. And then when his arrows are done, he stands behind that line, you proceed to the target and you remove your arrows. The shooting line. The shooting line is the line that you straddle. You do not stand in front of it. You do not stand behind it. You straddle it. And we'll explain that in a little bit. And then the waiting line, that's where everybody who is not shooting, actively shooting, stands behind. And there's a spectator area back here. We've got a drone, and we're hoping to use that drone, so maybe whoever's flying the drone will be back there, and maybe some other people from the scout camp as well, leaders and what have you. All right? So those are three rules that you must follow. You straddle the shooting line. You do not proceed past the target line or safety line. And you stand behind the waiting line if you're not actively shooting. All right? And now we'll move on to rules while you're on the shooting line. So, Dallin, if we can advance to the shooting line. Oh, there it is right there. So here you have someone who is straddling the shooting line. Shooting line's right here. This foot is on one side, this foot is on another. Now, why is that important? Well, that's important because you wouldn't want to have people on this side of the line shooting in this direction and people on this side of the line shooting in this direction, because this person would get shot, wouldn't they? So everybody straddles the line, and then everybody is at the same space on the range, and then nobody gets hurt, right? Very important there. The second thing is, another rule, the kids are finding this quite amusing, so I hope you guys are finding it amusing also, okay? Second rule, another rule when you're at the line is you do not approach the shooting line unless you hear 2 blows of the whistle. Thank you very much, Daniel.
I did something.
2 blows of the whistle. That means you proceed to the shooting line, but you do not, under no circumstances do you shoot. You proceed to the line, you straddle, and you wait for further instruction. And then, when you hear, that was 1 blow of the whistle, just in case you didn't hear it. Can we do that one more time, Daniel? Without covering it, it sounds like 1 blow, so that's good. 1 blow of the whistle, then you can remove the arrows from the quiver. That's the little holder that will be at the shooting line, and you can shoot the arrows at the target, or at least attempt to shoot the arrows and have them hit the target, all right? So, 2 blows of the whistle means you approach the line, you straddle the line, you wait further instruction. 1 blow of the whistle means you are free to remove the arrows from the quiver, knock them, proceed with the 10 steps of shooting, and have them go down range. All right? Now, rules when you're retrieving arrows. Dallin, can we advance one more? So when you're retrieving the arrows, these are some more general rules and whistle commands if you didn't get them. 2 blows, Danny, goes to the line. 1 blow means you're free to shoot. 3 blows means you are free to retrieve the arrows. So you do not proceed from the shooting line or any other part of the range to the targets unless you hear 3 blows of the whistle, okay? Dallin, let's advance again. One more. So once you hear the 3 blows of the whistle, you can go from the shooting line downrange to the target or safety line. There will be 2 of you. You'll always be in pairs, right? And when you get there, you guys have to decide ahead of time. One person's going to stand behind this line. The other person's going to go and retrieve their arrows. When that person is done retrieving their arrows, they proceed back behind the line before the second person goes and retrieves their arrows, okay? Believe it or not, this retrieving arrows is where the majority of accidents happen. People go to pull arrows out, somebody's behind them, and they harpoon or put the arrow into someone else's body. It's very important that you obey this rule. People don't think that it's a safety issue, and they let their guard down, and then bad things happen. So pay attention when you're down there, okay? So now let's talk about how you retrieve an arrow. When you are retrieving an arrow, right? I'm right-handed, so I would use my left hand. I put my hand on the target, and the arrow's here. I then grab the arrow with my thumb pointing toward the tip and pull it out. So my thumb is pointing toward the tip of the arrow, and I've pulled it out, and then I'm going to lay it on the ground and get another one and do the same thing. Once I have them all, I'm going to pick them all up, all points together with my thumb facing the points, and I'm going to proceed past the target line so that my partner can go back and get theirs. Okay? All right. Let's see. Dropped arrows. We never stop for dropped arrows. We do not stop for dropped arrows. When Dallin has been at the shooting line, and can we go back, Dallin? When Dallin's at the shooting line, and he has shot the arrow, and it landed here and didn't hit the target, right? We leave that there. Don't stop and don't pick it up, okay? One of the leaders will get it. There's a danger there. I don't want to get into it. Just don't stop for arrows that are in here, all right? Now, you can advance now, Dallin. We've already gone over the whistle commands. That's next on your list. Just hit the rewind button. Some general rules. We don't stop for dropped arrows. We always walk when we're on the range. We never dry fire a bow. So dry firing a bow is when you draw the bow back without any string, without anything in the string, and let it go. It's dangerous because the energy of the bow doesn't have anything to go into, and it can shatter the bow, and if there's fiberglass in the bow, the fiberglass can go into your arm or other parts of your body. So you never pull the string back and let it go without something in it. It's a bad thing, all right? You want to inspect the arrows frequently and always obey the commands of your leaders, okay? All right, how do we safely carry arrows? We already talked about that. We carry arrows with our thumb pointed toward the tip, and we point the tip down toward the ground this way, and we walk with them parallel to our body, all right? I'll go over that a little bit more while we're at the range. Local laws. Next thing is you guys need to know about local laws. So I'll read you some information that's on the web from the local laws. All right. So this applies to Massachusetts. So rule number 1: it is prohibited to hunt or have in possession while hunting a poison arrow, arrow with explosive tips, or any bow drawn or held by mechanical means, including crossbows, except as provided in rule number 3 below. And I'll get into rule number 3 in a minute. All right. Hand-held, hand-operated bowstring releases are permitted. They are allowed. All right? So what that means is when you pull the string back, normally you would use, on a recurve bow, you'd use these 3 fingers. You pull it back, and then you release these fingers, and the string goes that way. On a compound bow, you pull it back, and because the draw, which we'll get into what the draw of a bow is later, the draw of the bow can be much more. The mechanical release prevents your fingers from actually touching the string. So there's a piece that comes out of your fingers like this that actually hooks onto the string. So you're pulling the string back like this with a metal piece in your hand. And then there's a button that's in the palm of your hand. You push that button with one of your fingers and it releases this piece. And then the string goes and the arrow takes off, all right? Crossbows, so here's provision number 3. Crossbows may be used only by persons who are permanently disabled. So basically nobody can use crossbows unless you're disabled. Bows used for hunting purposes shall have a minimum pull of 40 pounds at 28 inches draw. So what that means is the bows, and I'll get into this a little bit later, the bows that are used for hunting have to be strong enough to kill an animal. We don't want to be maiming animals. If we're going hunting, the theory is we're going to hunt, we're going to kill the animal, and we're going to eat the animal, right? We don't want to go hunting and maim the animal and have it injured for life and doing all that stuff. So we want a bow that's powerful enough to kill the animal to be humane about it, all right? Arrows used for hunting deer, bear, and wild turkey shall have well-sharpened steel broadhead blades. These are basically like 3 or 4 blade broadheads, like razor blades that are in the tip. And they cut and they create quite a wound going in, again, so that the animal will die and that you can you find them and you're not wounding the animal, you're actually killing the animal, all right? The sale, this might be something that's interesting for you guys of Boy Scout age. How old do you have to be to buy broadheads, right? You need to be 15 years of age. The sale of arrows with broadhead or razorhead arrow points to a person under the age of 15 years is prohibited. Refer to Mass General Laws, Chapter 269, Section 16. All right, now we're going to get back into it here. Dallin has been good enough to be patient, and he's advanced it to the broadhead. We need to go back to the arrow, and we're going to identify the parts of the arrow. All right, so we're at identifying parts of the arrow now. There's the tip, the shaft, index vein or fletch, and the nock. So the fletch, some people call them feathers. They're really no longer made of feathers anymore, unless you want to do some kind of primitive arrow building. But the important thing to know is there is an index vein that is a different color than everything else, and that will play into how you nock the arrow. And that we'll get into a little bit later on. So there's an index vein that's different than the other two. Shaft of the arrow, point, nock. All right. The spine of the arrow is the stiffness of the shaft. Hopefully we'll be able to get this video going. We've got an Olympic video that we're going to hope to present, and it's got some slow motion stuff. And you can see the arrow, even though you pick up an arrow and you think that it's very stiff and rigid, when you see the arrow being launched at slow motion coming out of the bow, it looks like a noodle. It literally shakes around like that as it's going down the range. It's like bending, like it was really a flimsy piece of plastic almost. All right, Danny, let's advance it. Okay, so types of tips or types of arrowheads. This I don't know. You can't even see it. So let's advance it. It's a photo of an example of a broadhead, but you can't see it. These you can't see this either, but they're basically little blunt, like little pieces of wire that would hit and stun an animal. They're not legal, but it is a type of head. So there's a grabbing or blunting. There's a field tip. There's a bullet tip. There's a fishing tip. There's a broadhead, and there's also a mechanical device. So we're going to show you an example of a mechanical device that I think 99% of you guys would probably remember. And remember well. It's from a scene that I think you'll remember. So let's go there and do it.